Hey guys, and welcome back to another week of Cos-Say. Today I'm here with Lucas, aka Twinfools. So I'm gonna
Hello.
just. Oh, hi. Sorry. So today I'm just gonna jump right in by asking you how you got your start into cosplay.
Yeah. Well, it was back in the old like 2006, maybe. 2000 no 2007, solidly 2007. I spent a lot of time on the internet because I was a lonely solo nerd. I know I wasn't the only person at my school who was like into anime and cartoons and stuff, but I felt like that. It wasn't cool. I wasn't out being a nerd. Like I was very closeted about that side of myself. So I spent a lot of time on the internet trying to connect with people. And then in grade 12, I decided, well, I don't care what anyone thinks anymore because I won't see anyone next year. I'm going off to college in the US. Like I can just break free and be these weird, like let my freak flag fly. So I on the internet, I kept seeing pictures of cosplayers, videos of cosplayers, and they all looked like they were having like such an amazing time. And so I decided I wanted to do that. I wanted to really get into that because it looked like an expression of everything I wanted to do, which was like to embody my favorite characters and to connect with other people who had similar interests. So I posted on an online forum, which is like number one, you don't do that. You didn't do that back then. You didn't like post on forums. Thought was thought to be very dangerous. Arguably, like still is in some ways. It was like this public forum called cosplay.com, and I posted like, "Hey, anyone in Vancouver who likes cosplay? Does anyone want to meet up?" And I was like grade 12, like I was 17. I was super sheltered, like not able to do anything. And then this guy posted, he's like, yeah, sure, I'd love to meet like downtown. Want to meet outside Granville Station. And if you know Vancouver, which you probably don't, or maybe you do, I don't know. It's downtown. We have our downtown core and Granville Station sort of in the center of downtown. So it's not like, it's not dangerous, but it's like, it was more dangerous, more sketchy than I had ever experienced. And so I couldn't tell my parents, of course, I was going to a sketchy place. Like, they wouldn't let me go. So instead, I went without their knowledge to meet this man I'd never met in my life. And he's like, I'll meet you outside Granville Station. I'll be the man wearing the black trench coat, which should have been a tip off. But I was like super sheltered. I was like, yeah, sure. I won't tell my parents because they'll not let me go. Yeah, I'll meet you in your black trench coat. So I went alone. It's like my first time going downtown by myself on the bus. And I met this man outside of the Granville Station SkyTrain. And he turned out to be like the nicest man in the world. I was actually super lucky. I don't encourage anyone to ever do this, but I met my first cosplay friend who was Kenshiro in our FDP group. He's and his wife now moved to Finland a couple of years ago now, but he like took me under his wing, and he was much older than I was, but he was like married and just like the nicest guy. And he like took me out like wig shopping because he understood cosplay a little more than I did, and he his wife helped me make my first Naruto cosplay, and they like sort of welcomed me into their home. And that's how I got into cosplay, was meeting those two and being able to, I think, I mean, it's like mentorship, right? Like they became like my substitute parents, both because my own parents didn't support cosplay and because my own parents for a long time didn't support most of anything else I was doing. So I owe those two a lot, but oh boy, the circumstances we met under. Looking back, I'm like, whew, yeah, that could have gone real bad.
So, what was your first cosplay that you ever did?
It wasn't what I always think it is, which is it wasn't Naruto. Um, I think it was Sasuke. Because I was making Naruto, and for an event, I decided I was going to try cosplaying Sasuke. So I like bought an Under Armour shirt, and then I like attached a collar to it. Didn't work out, and then I went as Sasuke to like a Canada Day celebration, because we used to do that a lot. And yeah, I think that was like my first fully made cosplay. But Naruto is the first one I started making, so I don't know how I which you count, but the Naruto Sasuke.
So, in comparison to your most recent stuff that you've been doing, how do you feel like it compares? Like, what's the journey?
Oh, the journey. I mean, the journey's been 10 years long at this point. And when I first cosplayed, I mean, I didn't. I mean, we were talking about this a lot actually. Like back in the day, like early cosplay days, like if you had a wig, like you were like amazing. Like no one knew where to buy wigs. Like they were a novelty to even have one. You I mean, like there wasn't that much communication around like sewing or armor making. So if you had like armor, again, like that, people, their minds were blown. So like where the community was in terms of access to things back then is so much different than how it is now, which has been really amazing to watch. I talk with my hands a lot, by the way, so I'm sorry if this is really distracting. I can't help myself. But back in the day, I mean, I didn't know how to sew. I had a lot of help getting to learn how to sew from people who did, such as Calibri from, again, from our FDP group, who is Kenshira's wife. They're still together. And my friend, like Nova, my partner, taught herself how to sew, so she taught me how to sew. Valdrian, my best friend, also taught me how to sew. She was also self-taught, so I learned a lot from my friends. I taught myself how to do a lot of wig stuff because I figured like I gotta have a thing. So I'll make wigs. I just got really into it. But yeah, like I didn't use any makeup. I didn't know how to use makeup, so using makeup is something that I've only recently started doing. So I've seen a huge shift in my cosplays from when I didn't used to pay that much attention to that aspect to now. So that's been a really neat adventure, learning how to do eyeliner and how to make eyebrows and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I'd say like the biggest shift has just been access to information and to resources. Like, I think I take for granted how easy it is to go on Arta Wigs and to purchase a cosplay wig versus going to like a store in Vancouver where the wigs aren't meant for cosplay, they're meant for like everyday wear, which is a very different type of wig at a very different price point. Yeah, the accessibility change has been amazing.
So, you're from Canada, right? Is that where you currently are
Yeah.
at? Yeah.
Yep.
How is it like cosplaying there? Because I actually spoke to somebody who was from Japan and cosplayed there, so I know that environments are very, very different, cultures are different. So I want to know what's it like to cosplay in Canada.
So I'd say not too different from the US. I think that there's a lot of like cultural exchange and similarities between the US and
Mm-hmm.
Canada. Some differences for sure, but I think in terms of cosplay communities, so many people cross the border to go to cons. There's just so much exchange all the time. I find the two cosplay communities to be quite similar. I think in Canada, I mean, geographically, we are more spread out. So, like where I am, Vancouver, our closest major Canadian city is like a ferry ride and then a drive away. It's Victoria, which I mean, we're taking like 3 hours versus we can drive down to Seattle, which is a much bigger city in about the same amount of time. So I think what I find is a lot of Canadians tend to go. I mean, they have like their hometown cons, but may not go to a lot of other cons in Canada just because the distances are so large, and you could just go down to the US anyway, which has a lot more cons. Um, I mean, I think every cosplay community has like its ups and downs. I think there's, I mean, yeah, there's good times, bad times. There's examples of like good positive community and not so good negative community aspects. But I'd say overall, not too different from our US friendos.
You were just talking about some of the positive and negative experiences. Have you ever had like what's your best experience that you've had in the cosplay community overall?
I'd say like getting to meet new people. Like I think about KatsuCon, which is like probably been the biggest con I've been to, and just the experience of like leaving the hotel. And we never actually like we made it a goal every day to try to make it to the dealer's hall, which wasn't that far away, but we just kept running into people and having these great conversations. If you walk a step, you're like, oh hey, oh cool. And you just end up hanging out with these people, like sidetracking your day. And it was it was amazing. Like I just kept running into people and just having these conversations and learning about new people and running into people I never thought I'd run into. We never actually made it to the dealer's hall just because that took so long. But that was like, yeah, that was an amazing experience. I mean, I love like the social aspect of cosplay. So for me, like just getting to connect with people is I think the most positive aspect of it for me. And in cosplay, like I feel like cosplay is such an icebreaker already because you just can go up to a person and be like, I love your blank cosplay. And you're like, that's into a conversation, you know? Whereas like in everyday life, I can find that more difficult to do. But I feel like with cosplay, you like wear your interest on the outside of your body. It's like an exoskeleton. Yeah. So you just run into people.
Awesome. And on the opposite end of that, you were talking also about some negative experiences. What's an experience that wasn't so pleasant for you?
I think like the competitive nature of it can sometimes pop up. I mean, like there's good competition, right? Good supportive competition that I've certainly seen. And then there's sort of a side of that that can like alienate people and sort of turns into like weird hierarchies I've seen form in friend groups, and including like I'm not innocent of this, right? Like I've fell under that spell, right? Of I think taking it too seriously, thinking too much of yourself, and just and cosplaying at the exclusion of others. I think one thing that really comes to mind for me is like a lot of cosplay groups where I've been aware of, or even been a part of in the early days, where like, you know, like we have one of each character, and two people want to cosplay a certain character, and it's like, oh no, sorry, we can only have one, so you have to therefore cosplay a character you don't like. Like I think that's, or cosplay a character we tell you or typecast you to be. I think that a lot of hurt comes from that. I remember being told like I couldn't cosplay a character because I wasn't the most muscular person in the group, right? The most muscular person in the group should cosplay the most muscular character, which of course is hurtful in two ways, right? Like one, I don't get to cosplay my favorite character, which just sucks. And two, I mean, that's like, you know, like telling somebody they're not enough of something is just never a good thing to hear or to do. So I think things like that, I mean, it comes up, and I do really appreciate that. I feel like we're talking about that more in the cosplay community, about how like sizeism, racism, ableism, transphobia, homophobia, sexism, like how these things are all, they exist in the world, and that the cosplay community isn't protected from that, and that we gotta work hard to sort of fight those forms of oppression in our community.
Yeah, that was really cool. Thank you for talking about that. It definitely was. Wow, I just lost the words. Sorry. I just watched the thought just leave my head. It's fine. But no, thank you for covering that. I love hearing everybody's opinions on that because discussing negative experiences, I think, brings awareness to the fact that they do exist. And when we bring awareness to something, there is there are groups of people that want to take that awareness and be like, hey, you know, maybe we should try to eliminate that. And I like hearing people speak on it to create that awareness. So thank you. Okay. Is it cool if we go back to talking about conventions? Because, like, I want to know. So, what was your first convention that you ever went to? Because I know you were talking about Katsu. So,
Yeah, I mean, it certainly wasn't Katsu. I'm not sure Katsu existed when I first started going to conventions. I went to my first convention in 2007, and it was our local con, which was at the time called Anime Evolution, which was in Vancouver, held at a university. It was a really cool, like I still miss that venue. The convention doesn't happen anymore in the same way. I think it's now only a one-day convention if it happens. I'm not up on that, but it happened at like the university is sort of very open air, and it happened in summer. So you had like the main stage, which was like outside basically, and then these gardens. It was just a very cool place to hang out. And yeah, I still have such a sort of like chasing the dragon in a way. Like you get your first con experience, and to me it was so great. And I don't think anything can ever live up to it because it was my first con experience. It's just, you know, like getting to be in that environment for the first time mind blowing.
How many conventions do you think you've been to since then?
Too many. Too many. So like at least 4 over the past 10 years. So at least 40. Probably more than 40. I think some years we do a lot more than 4. I don't think we've ever done less than 4, but 40 plus, I'd say. We've been really honored to get to travel all over the world to go to conventions too. And it's really cool to see how conventions are different yet the same across the world. Like really, like different places bring sort of different philosophies into conventions. And that's been really cool to get to see, and to see that like permeate into other cosplay communities to start doing things in different ways because of what they learned from another cosplay community.
That's really cool. What was your most recent convention that you've been to?
Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. It would have been. I'm gonna get this so wrong. I think it was a convention we went to in Tennessee. Yes, called the KaiCon. I think that was officially our last one of 2019, and it was held just outside of Nashville. It was a really cool chill con, and then cons stopped for until who knows.
At these conventions, I mean, you're bound to have good memories. So, what's one of your best memories that you have from these conventions?
I mean, I've already talked about the people. The people we meet are always like my number one memory. And also just like the hijinks sometimes. Like I love going on hijinks. I love going on adventures. There was one con we went to in England where one night we all just like went to this park in the woods that had this giant slide, and we all climbed up the slide and slid down the slide and like bumped into each other and like pushed each other on swings. We're just singing all night and just sort of took over this play park area. Another con, we like found this forest with like all these vines. This was in, I want to say Kentucky, and there's like all these vines in this forest, and I love like swinging from stuff. So I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen vines like this before. So I just grabbed the vine, was swinging around, and then we got everyone else swinging, and it was cool because some people were like really afraid to swing, but we supported the people and like took the swing super slow. And they're like, I'm swinging on a vine. And that was so much fun, and just like like the little like sidebar adventures that happen at cons are always just so fun to me. They're almost like Scooby-Doo mysteries. Like just stuff like that. We found a ghost in Norway, right? Like after the con, like we were convinced we were being haunted. So one night we tried to like, I think we both believed in the ghost and wanted to make others believe in the ghost. So we were like trying to prank our friends, and we were like sliding toilet paper with a comic book I had drawn about the ghost under their door, but it wasn't working. So Courtney was having to do it from above the door because only she could reach, but we were laughing too loud. And then I tried to climb out onto the balcony and jump onto their balcony. And like, none of this was under any sort of inebriation. Like this was just like my 2 a.m. brain being like, this is a great idea. But like, I'll never forget stuff like that. But it's so random, right? And unrelated to the con, but like little hijinks like that, I love.
So you said you've been to conventions all around the world. Where's been the best place that you've been?
Oh, I can't say that. That's a trick. And you know it. Sneaky. I mean, I think the location that changed my way of thinking about travel was we went to Australia. And I do distinctly remember on that trip, we had to perform some skits at like this, like Australia's Wonderland or something, which is a theme park. And after we performed our skit, like a bunch of people from the con came up and we just like ran around to all the rides. And then the people from the con who were going to take us back to the hotel were like these cool, like older women who I think thought we were much younger than we were. And we're just like, oh, we'll let the kids play. Like you guys can stay a little bit longer and we'll take you back later. So they let us stay longer. They're like these really nice moms. And we just went on these rides. And then I just remember I was like in a solo seat on a ride and I was being spun around. And I just remember it was night. I looked up at the sky and I had a realization like, this is a completely different hemisphere. Like, these are stars I've never seen before in my life and that I never would have seen had it not been for this hobby I do. Which is dressing up as cartoon characters. And it was like that, like I had like a moment that yeah, like time slowed down and I thought about that. I was like, whoa, like this thing I do has been such an amazing impact on my life.
That's really cool. Um, and now that we know that COVID's hit and most of the cons are canceled, how is COVID affecting you? Like, are you doing anything different? Are you taking on like different projects now?
Well, interestingly, my work has not, like, I have a cosplay as my hobby. I don't make any money from it or do it professionally. So I have a day job that I love very much, and my day job is in healthcare. So my day job has only gotten busier. So actually, during COVID, I've been extremely busy work-wise, and I'm really thankful for that. But that's also just in terms of having extra time for cosplay. I guess I do have a little bit, but not a whole lot because I'm working. But in terms of my cosplay planning, I've been trying to because the fabric stores are closed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like making new stuff isn't really an option. So I've been trying to go back through my old cosplays and trying to rewear and shoot some cosplays I have never, like, I maybe only worn once. An example being I made a Shoran from Tsubasa cosplay that I like hand embroidered the edges of these flames. Like, I put so much effort into it, and then I wore it once for a con that I was really sick at, and never again. So just this last weekend, I wore it again and did like an like a formal photo shoot with it. And so I've been really happy to get to go back and wear those things because a lot of them don't fit me anymore. Like my I've gotten kind of weirdly swollen my shoulders. So a lot of my stuff from even like 3-4 years ago, like I put it on and like it doesn't, like I have to really stretch it or cut the sleeves in order for it to fit. So like this stuff, I wear it now or maybe I wear it never. I find it really cathartic to go back and like rewear old cosplays and give them that life because I feel like in con season I can be going too quickly through making new stuff and that pressure. I feel like COVID's given me permission to like go back a bit, which has been nice.
That's pretty cool. So, on the topic of cosplays, do you have like one that you're the most proud of, or that's your favorite to wear?
I must. What is it? I love wearing Gallo from Promare, because I feel like he is me. I'm just like, yeah, that's me as an anime character. I get it. So that's a lot of fun. I love wearing Bakugo, specifically the Fantasy AU Bakugo cosplay, because I'm probably most proud of that cosplay in terms of the way I made it. It's just so terribly uncomfortable. I have to find a way to make it more comfortable. And I love wearing. There's one more. It's the tip of my tongue. I love wearing. I loved wearing Shiro from Voltron. I don't have that costume anymore, or at least I don't think I do. I don't know where it went. But I loved, Shiro's another character that I'm just like, I get it. I can be a dad, that makes sense for me.
On the opposite side, do you have a cosplay that is like your least favorite or that you're not so proud of?
Yeah. So I'm trying to look at my wigs right now for inspiration. I see them in the other room. Just like, give me a hint. I don't like. There are a few cosplays I have that really stress out my shoulders, and one of them, unfortunately, is Fenris, which is another cosplay I'm really proud of in terms of how I made it. But just the way it fits, it gives me stress in my shoulders that brings me like instant, like terrible back and then head pain. So suckily enough, I can only wear it for like a couple hours. And there are a few cosplays that I put on that I just don't like the way I look in them. A lot of them tend to be longer haired characters. I don't like having long hair. Like, I find it awkward to wear, awkward to keep up. So that will long-haired cosplay that I tend to try to avoid because I'm not so much a fan of how that, I guess, that frames my face so
Yeah.
easy.
Um, what's something that inspiration. What's something that inspires or motivates you to keep cosplaying?
I think it's like the friends I made along the way, like that
Mm-hmm.
old thing. I think it's just the community I've fallen into through cosplay. I mean, just that we all do that together. There have been a lot of times where I've wanted to quit cosplay because of how it's been stressful. And every time that comes up, I think what is stressful isn't actually the cosplay. What is stressful is like the deadlines, or maybe like the people I'm interacting with through cosplay who are maybe stressing me out, or maybe setting up a situation that doesn't feel so healthy or supportive. Um, yeah, or maybe I'm the person doing that. Every time it's not so much the cosplay that I don't want to do. It's something exterior to the cosplay that I just need to take a second and think about, and sometimes just like remove or try to separate from. I'm a really competitive person by nature, so I think initially I felt a lot of stress around like always needing to be the best, and like if somebody else would cosplay something, I'd take that as like, this is like very early on, Lucas. If somebody else would cosplay something, I'd be like, oh, like they did that so great. No, I gotta step up my game. I gotta do better, right? And then, I mean, over like that's like super unhealthy, both for you and everyone you're interacting with. If you like start to compete with other people in that way, like it can feel kind of targeted. Um, and that was a shitty behavior that I fell into myself. And also it's just like it's subjective, right? So you can actually never like there's no such thing as the best. Like everyone is gonna like a certain style of cosplay, so you just have to cosplay for yourself and do what you like. And always like keep trying to improve yourself, but you can only compare your cosplays to your cosplays because everyone else's style is their own, right? So I think just realizing that subjectivity, and understanding that you can't be competitive in something that's so subjective, and that it's also unhealthy and can be damaging to your relationships. Um, I think that really helped me.
That's awesome. That's all the questions that I have, but is there anything that you'd like to say to any of your fans or your followers that may be watching?
Oh, first, hi, thanks for watching. And yeah, I think just like try to, if you're a cosplayer, if you're wanting to cosplay, like, but you don't know where to start, like just do it. Just jump into it. There's no right or wrong way to cosplay. There's no right or wrong way to start. We all start somewhere, and like honestly, I've learned some of the coolest things from people who are like brand new cosplayers, because that's like a brand new lens, right? Like you have just as much validity doing this for 2 months as you do for 2 decades. So just yeah, just jump into it. Do it because you love it, and do what you want. Don't let anyone tell you um, what you should or should not cosplay. Of course, like don't blackface. Like obviously, don't change your skin tone for cosplay to look like another race. That's bad. Yeah, as long as you're cosplaying respectfully, cosplay whatever you want. Is what I mean to say. So yeah, just do it.
Awesome. Thank you. So that's all the time that we have for today, guys. Thanks for watching so much. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. I know how to speak English. Um, do you want to drop your social media so that they can follow you? I'm also going to put it in the link below, like always, guys. Just check it out. So, yeah.
Yeah, so let's see if I can remember. Twin Fools on Instagram, Twin Fools with a Z on Twitter, because I didn't get Twin Fools there. And then yeah, our YouTube page is Fighting Dreamers Pro. I think those are my names for social media. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you so much, Jay, for inviting me to be on this. I really appreciate you reaching out. I'm really thankful for like you accommodating your time to to support me in a different time zone. So
No, thank you. It means a lot when people respond and are so enthusiastic about it. It meant a lot to me, so thank you.
thanks.
Okay,
All right. Have a great night. Bye.
bye.